The Pacers and the Mavericks have somewhat set the league on fire with their all-or-nothing style of offense. At the time of this recording, Tyrese Haliburton is leading the league in assists with almost 12 a game, heading the offensive explosion in Indiana. Over in Dallas, Luka is averaging 30 a game, leading the Mavericks to an above 500 record in the West. But is going all out on offense the way to win a championship at the end of the season? So to see how good these teams actually are on the jump that they made this season, I wanted to take a look at the offensive and defensive ratings of past champions, because there's only one team at the end of each season. And even though you've got an amazing, 122 offensive rating, which is like really, really good, I'll get into that in a second, just because you got the super high offense does not mean that you're going to win the championship at the end of the year. So I want to look at the past 4 NBA championships to kind of gauge the modern NBA. And I want to see where those teams fell during the regular season in terms of offensive and defensive rating. And in almost every single case, in every single case, nobody had the best offensive or defensive rating that was a champion in the past 4 years. I shockingly found the best teams had both an above average offense and defense, and just overall good players. You look at rosters that have good players on them and you're like, oh, he can score, he can pass, this dude locks down, this dude locks down. You got a lot of components like that, you're going to win a championship. For those who don't know, offensive rating is how many points a team will score within 100 possessions. So the higher the number, the better. For example, the Pacers have an offensive rating right now of 122. So per 100 possessions, 122 points. That's really, really, really good. Like, that's insane. Now that's kind of counterbalanced by the defensive rating. And defensive rating is the same, but how many points a team allows per 100 possessions. So therefore, the lower the number, the better. So if you have a really high offensive rating and a really high defensive rating, not good. That's literally where the Pacers and the Mavericks are at right now. Good teams have a high offensive rating and a low defensive rating, right? Score a lot of points, make sure they don't score a lot of points. So for reference, I talked about the Pacers having a 122 offensive rating, 122 points per 100 possessions. Looking at the Nuggets last year, offensive rating 117.6, not the highest. I think it was like top 4 or 5, which is crazy. And their defensive rating was 114. So not great. They didn't really get a lot of stops. They were a good defensive team, but I mean, you're allowing 114 points a game compared to the rest of the teams that we look at. That's kind of bad. But the reason why they were so good is because without Nikola Jokic, a 2-time MVP, one of the greatest offensive players we've ever seen in our entire lives, whether you like him or not, the Nuggets had an offensive rating of 109 points per game. Really, really good. That's a drop off of only 8 points. So Jokic technically only makes the Nuggets 8.6 points better. Last season they did. That's not the case, but numbers are kind of funny like that. Now, the 2022 Warriors who win the championship, offensive rating of 112, so 5 less than the Nuggets and 10 less than the Pacers right now, and a defensive rating of 106. That is really, really, really good. So the defensive rating means they only let their opponents score 106 points per game, right? This is one of those where you think about the players in the team, okay? Offense, Steph, Clay, Jordan Poole, right? Defense, Wiggins, Draymond, Gary Payton, Kevon Looney. They got some dogs in that team, so they can go score, they can go defend. Same with last year with the Nuggets. Jokic, Murray, Gordon, MPJ, KCP, Reggie Jackson. They got boys all over the place. So when you're looking to try and make a pick for a team, barring injury, look at, okay, how deep are these guys? But also, you only run maybe 7 deep in a playoff series, right? Starters, maybe 1 to 2 to possibly 3 coming off the bench. So how many of those guys, what does the 6th, 7th man look like for that team, right? In comparison to the rest of the league. The Bucks, the year before that, same thing. 2021, offensive rating 116.5, defensive rating 110. So that's not a bad offensive or defensive rating compared to the Nuggets. It's 4 better than the Nuggets. But once again, look at the team. Giannis, Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton. Then you got guys like PJ Tucker on the team at the time. They got some dogs on the team. Once again, just look at the overall, how widespread is this team? How good are they? Because honestly, in the past couple of years, we have not seen a super team win since Golden State. It's been a different team every single year. And those teams are not stacked like the Suns are right now, like the Clippers are right now, like the Celtics are right now, right? So it's just kind of interesting to see how that worked out. 2020. Maybe you might be able to call it a super team with LeBron and AD on the team, but LeBron leading that team, offensive rating 111, defensive rating 106, the lowest defensive rating / best defensive rating in the past 4 or 5 seasons for a championship team. LeBron, AD, Dwight, Caruso, Kuzma, they had guys like J.R. Smith come in, And I think personally that was the last season where AD was really a power forward, which is I think the position he's at. You let him roam, and you got Dwight Howard coming in. Dwight Howard really wanted to win a championship there. So homeboy came in, locked down D. AD came in, locked down D. And then you got LeBron. Like, that's a solid squad, man. The net rating is another stat we can use to find out how good a team is. It's literally just the offensive rating minus the defensive rating. And there you go. So the Nuggets had a net rating of 3, Warriors 6, Bucks 6, Lakers 5. So basically what that means is like if your offense is really good and your defense is really good as well, how big is the gap? How much are you beating your opponents by? Pretty much on an average per 100 possessions. But does a lone team at the end of each season usually end up being the best in all of these? Nope. Not even close. As you can see right here on the graph, there is one team that made the finals that led the league in offensive rating, defensive rating, or net rating in the past 4 seasons. And none of those are champions. One of them made the finals of 2022, being the Celtics, with the best defensive rating in the league, going into the playoffs. That's crazy. So look at very well-rounded teams that are consistent and that have a lot of superstars, maybe 1 or 2 superstars, and great role players that know the role. Like that's as easy as that. That's what we know. That's not the flashy answer. That's not the fun answer, but that's the answer that I've found based off of this. So what are we looking at this season? The Pacers, 122 offensive rating. Defensive rating, 119. So they have a 122 offensive rating, but they have a defensive rating of 119. That means their net rating is only 3. So they're technically only beating their opponents by 3 points per game, even though they're scoring 122 points per game. That's crazy, right? So the Mavericks, same thing, 118 offensive rating on the dot. Defensive rating, 117. Their net rating is literally 0.8. They are barely beating teams, and they're a good team. I think they're 10-7 right now on the season. They are a solid team, and they're beating their opponents per 100 possessions by less than a point. So is it worth going all out on offense? I guess we'll have to see when come playoff time. We've seen teams like this in the past. Obviously, the Kings were the same thing as the Pacers this past season, or the season before. Run offense, really, really good. Great three-point shooting team. Pretty good defensive team. Got bounced in the first round. A lot of that was playoff experience. Same thing with the Pacers. Not a lot of playoff experience with this young core. Mavericks are a little different because they got Luka and Kyrie. Kyrie's a champion. Luka's been to the Western Conference Finals. So the Mavericks would be a little bit more interesting. They're also in the West, which is more difficult, I think. But I don't think these 2 offensive juggernauts really have any chance in the playoffs because, like, on paper, their offense is not, like, so generational that they're just going to, like, be blowing teams out of the water. And then their defense just allows people to just run up on them. I've heard people, I saw this quote on Twitter, it was like, they can't even stop a nosebleed. Like, that's how bad these teams are defensively. And, like, oof, like, their offense isn't that much better than their competition, and their defense is way worse than actual contenders of the league. So, I guess we'll have to see. This is what I've just found for y'all. Let me know y'all's comments, y'all's thoughts. I really do like the Pacers. I like Halliburton. I'm a big Luka guy. I like Kyrie. I really like Derek Lively. So hopefully they can start playing him a little bit better on defense and, I don't know, help him out on the perimeter because he's gotten really good on the inside. But it's going to be interesting to see. I don't even know who – I really don't have a pick about who's going to win the championship this year. I have no idea. It's so crazy. Like, the variety is insane. I might go Nuggets, but Jamal Murray was injured this year so far. And I don't think that's going to be able to carry them. So let me know y'all's thoughts. New podcast coming up soon. Every Monday and Wednesday. I'm going to be posting every Wednesday and Saturday, every single day. That's my new schedule. Wednesdays and Saturdays, new warm-up videos. So check that out. Get ready for that. So hit the subscribe button, baby. Comment, whatever y'all got to do. Peace out. It's getting warm, baby. Let's go.